Phenomenally.
She's an angel. She's a pioneer.
And I'm so happy to be sitting next to you. I mean, wow.
Also with us is Dr. Elisa English. She's a clinical therapist and mental health expert. Dr. Elisa, great to have you with us.
How are you? Well, this is Dr. Elisa, Dr. Elisa's World, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope that you hit that like button and subscribe. This is something different for me. This is like a story time or storytelling. And it's different because I have like my opinion about storytelling, because I feel like you're talking about people that may or may not want to be talked about, or it feels like certain people are just clout chasing. But I also am like, no need for me to clout chase, because Doc, okay, I mean, you know. I also feel like there's so many people on YouTube talking about people whom they never met. They just are recycling all sorts of old stories, which is fine, but you know, it's better to hear it from the person's mouth, people who've had real encounters. That's why I say, if you can get an interview with any of the OGs or celebrities or doctors or lawyers that have been doing it in the past, get that information, because there is nothing like hearing it straight from and directly from the person's mouth. So this story is around someone whom is quite popular in the athletic world, of the sports world, particularly boxing, which my thumbnail pointed out, and that is not Muhammad Ali. That happens to be the world heavyweight champion, Mike Tyson. Shout outs to Mike Tyson. And so what motivated me to do this sort of story was that I seen him on Drink Champs. So shout out to Nori and the team there at Drink Champs. And by the way, this is to Nori. Tell him Dr. E said, I hope they aren't drinking that much alcohol in real life. I hope that is about sponsorships, partnerships, and deals that will help to feed their family and generations to come, because you know that alcohol contributes to all sorts of things like diabetes and liver disease, sclerosis. So let's just be mindful of, guys, you know, you guys are in that age group where health issues are right there waiting to kind of rear their ugly head. So I know that they're not promoting or suggesting to you subscribers or viewers to drink alcohol in abundance. I like all the clapping that they do. Don't you love it? They seem so happy and motivated. But anyway, Mike was on there and he did an amazing job. Shout out to Mike Tyson. I mean, he really showed so much self-control, and he was so much himself. He was the guy that I feel I had the opportunity to experience. And if you know anything about Mike Tyson, you know that he's had his run-ins with the law and accusations and even convictions of things that I'm sure today he would say was totally out of character and not something that he would feel proud of today. But anyhow, you know, when people see your weaknesses, when people know that you aren't necessarily aware, meaning, like, when I say aware, meaning we came from Brownsville, East New York, Brooklyn, we weren't necessarily aware of the value of money or what that means, that it can attract all sorts of demons and distractors, and, you know, those who are determined to either take what you got or see your demise. So always be alert about those who you know, have in your circumference. So my experience is that Mike is a really interesting person. I had the opportunity to go to his house in Ohio, so this is way back in the days, right? So he had a mansion. Oh my God, I don't know if it was his first mansion or not, but I'm sure it was because this is going back years and years ago. And it was huge. I mean, beyond anything I had ever seen before. Like, it was big, and he had, like, the staircases and a pond in the front, and looked like it was a mink, bedding and all that kind of stuff. Like, he was doing it. Can you imagine? Like, shout outs to Brownsville, East New York. He was doing it. If you want to say doing it is the material things, he was certainly doing it. And so we went down to visit him because we have mutual friends. Shout out to our mutual friends who we all sort of went down, and he was all about showing all of us from the hood and from the neighborhood like a good time. He wanted us to experience and enjoy the fruits of his labor, the things that he was able to accomplish. So yeah, we all went down there and it was great, and everyone was having a great time. He had an indoor pool and so forth. So to make a long story short, because I need to do this really kind of quickly because it is a long story, but I really want to condense it into a short amount of time. So don't forget to hit like and comment because that really makes a difference. I want to know that you guys are watching and that, we went to, anyway, we went outside and he had a pond and he took a penny. So he was like, yo, E, watch this. So he threw the penny in the pond. And when he threw the penny in the pond, he goes, E, you hear that? And I'm like, hear what? He's like, the geese, they respond to the penny. He's like, this brother actually likes nature. So the whole thing about the pigeons and flying the pigeons and calling them back and all that kind of stuff, it's real. It's real. The man loved pigeons way back then, and he loved nature. He actually loved nature. So I was able to see the soft side of Mike. So, because they was promoting like the Iron Mike and the monster and the this and the that and the womanizer and this and that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I know you guys are so tired of me saying like I didn't have that experience with the bad guys. I just didn't. It was not my experience at all. So anyway, he goes back in the house after the showing me, the geese and the pond talking to us. He goes back in, so he's having fun. He's having a good time. And when we arrived, it actually was a young lady from the West Coast there. She was beautiful too. I don't really want to talk about that, but I did see her in a compromising situation. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what this is about, because honestly, like, I had never seen anything like that, and my friends weren't doing that, and so everyone was having a good time. They had on a bathing suit, so I wasn't wearing a bathing suit because I'm such a square. Honestly, I really am a square. I don't know if I'm just such a square. I'm humble. I don't know. So I didn't really participate in the fun like that. And so I stayed in the kitchen with, I think it was Don King's wife. That's right, Don King's wife and his wife's sister. They were cooking because Mike had an indoor grill. So they were cooking, and I'm talking about they were cooking like stacks of this and tons of that and all the things that we shouldn't be eating, but they was really in there tearing it up. I wanted to hang out with the old folks, so I wanted to just talk and everything. So I was in the living room watching TV. So when Mike finished having fun, he came in the living room and he sat on the floor and put his head on my lap. And we started talking again. And we was just like talking about all kinds of things. I mean, social issues, our community, racism, prejudice. Because, back in the 80s and 90s, trust me, like you guys don't really see racism the same way how we actually experienced it and our parents experienced it. So we sort of understood, but at the same time, we had really good experiences with white allies that supported us and helped us on our journey. I got to shout out to all my white allies because I honestly had great white allies. But we had conversation about that, and we laughed, and he knew my child's father who was, murdered. So that was also like a really soft spot for him. Like, he knew Trini Hurt, and he, just like was very supportive of me around that. I was talking about like the violence in our neighborhoods and stuff like that. So anyway, he got up and then he went back to have fun, and all I could hear in the pool is ah, ooh, oh, ee, ah. You know, like they was just having fun. Nobody was getting hurt or whatever. So then the next day, a friend of ours, a mutual friend that I love, shout out to Uwe. Hey Uwe, how you doing? So Uwe and I went to, Mike had a training camp. So Uwe and I went to his training camp, and we went to work out. And I tell you, I was like so skinny. I wish I had those pictures. I had on this yellow like workout outfit. I don't know who I thought I think I was Jane Fonda, so whatever. Anyway, so I told Uwe like I wanted to leave. I wasn't feeling like really happy, not because of anything Mike was doing, just because the vibe was a little bit off. And you know, it's interesting when women, I'm not gonna just blame it on women, but I can only relate as a woman. You know, you're young and you are exposed to someone with all of this money and all of this material things, and people just sort of act differently, and you can't blame them because we're all coming from nothing. And to see someone with all the things that, you know, we can only dream of, it was a really interesting space to be in. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna say it was an interesting space to be in. But I've always had an old soul, and I actually wanted to write his book. I mean, I'm already thinking about writing a book. You know, I'm a nerd by nature, so I'm like, I wanted to write a book. Anyway, tons of people wrote a book. Who knew that you can do what you call an unauthorized autobiography? So, you know, you should go or whatever. And this ain't just scene anyway. You know what I mean? I gotta say, you know, my big brothers always was like supporting me. They was never like bad or mean or trying to like to make you feel like less than. Or so anyway, I got back. So I was planning on leaving the next day because, you know, obviously I'm not a part of this scene, because the scene is like the down girls, the cute girls, and you know, I'm just a little duckling, so it's okay. So anyhow, the next day, Mike is like, what's up? What you doing or whatever? I was in my room. He was like, yo, you want to go for a ride? So I'm like, okay, hey, let's go for a ride. So he was like, okay. I was like, but where are we going? This is Ohio. Neither one of us are from Ohio. And let me tell you something. We could get kidnapped out here. You know what I mean? Like, we can't be out here in Ohio just going places. So he was like, no, I got a place or whatever. So anyway, we went to his penthouse in the city part of Ohio, if that's a good way to describe it. It was beautiful, same as the house. Everything was amazing. We get there, mind you, two little Brooklyn people. I'm like, you know what? I'm not scared. I'm with Mike. Like, if they come for us, I go low, I duck low, he come high. We good. We know how to do this. We from Brownsville, East New York. We good. You know, Brownsville, East New York people swore they was the toughest people on the planet Earth. Like, nobody messed with us, period, point blank. That's that. So we go to the house. Anyway, I knew that I was destined to be a therapist. We talked for about 4 hours. Honestly, I even called my dad. My dad spoke to him, and my dad, you know, he was formerly incarcerated, so he sort of related to, you know, black man, like going through the struggle or whatever. And his favorite boxer was Muhammad Ali, and I do have a Muhammad Ali story. But anyway, so we really had a good time, and I can tell you, he was nothing but a gentleman, and honestly, a scholar, very humble, very much the guy who you see today is the guy he always was. You know, when you come from the hood, or you are trying to impress other people, or you think you need to show a certain side of you that is tough because you are just trying to keep the streets up off you, it's sad, because it is a reality of our existence. And you know, his wife today, she's very lucky. She has an honest man, a reformed man, someone who's trying to work toward the straight path. All I can say is good things. And even though he went through those issues with the being incarcerated and so forth, even back then I was like, I just don't know. I wish someone would say something. He's not like that. He's really a nice guy. But I don't know that woman's experience, so I cannot speak for her. I can only speak for my experience with Mike. And he was always a gentleman. So I just want to say, you never can judge a book by its cover, and understand people have gone through so much. Our adverse childhood experiences, including myself, is so high. A 12 is like off the chart. Anything, over 4 or 5 is like, boy, you're really lucky if you can make it out. And when you think about Mike, he's lost his biological mother, his biological sister. He grew up in Brownsville, poor, all the things that happen to all of us growing up. It's amazing that he's even still here to even have a testimony, to be able to show you what transformation looks like, and to seek forgiveness for anybody who he has wronged. So shout out to Mike Tyson. Shout out to Drink Champs for motivating me to talk about this, and may God continue to bless Mike. Mike, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Take care, everybody. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, right? That Dr. E is here. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.